The ancient stone walls of Windsor Castle have witnessed centuries of unspoken tension, hidden rivalries, and the slow, deliberate movement of British history. On this bright June day, the fortress stands as a magnificent backdrop to one of the most visually spectacular and deeply traditional events on the royal calendar. The air is thick with anticipation as crowds gather along the historic pathways, waiting to catch a glimpse of a family that remains the ultimate symbol of continuity and national identity. There is an unmistakable grandeur to the scene, where the brilliant colors of royal pageantry contrast beautifully with the weathered gray stone of the medieval battlements. This annual gathering is far more than a simple display of wealth and privilege. It is a carefully choreographed manifestation of power, loyalty, and the complex web of relationships that define the modern monarchy. Beneath the surface of the flawless smiles and the perfectly ironed velvet robes, however, lies a deeper narrative of change and quiet transformation. The palace gates swing open, and the slow progression begins, inviting the world to witness an institution that is constantly balancing the weight of its near-millennial past with the pressing demands of a rapidly evolving present. To ensure you never miss an exclusive glimpse behind the palace walls and to receive the latest updates on these historic events, consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications for more deep dives into the lives of the world's most prominent families. As the procession winds its way down Castle Hill toward the spiritual home of British chivalry, the sheer scale of the ceremony becomes overwhelmingly apparent. The king and queen lead the royal party with an air of dignified solemnity, their presence commanding the attention of every onlooker. Surrounding them are the most senior members of the institution, a tightly knit circle of individuals who carry the immense responsibility of representing the crown on both the domestic and international stages. The Prince and Princess of Wales walk with a practiced elegance, accompanied by the indefatigable Princess Royal, whose lifelong dedication to public service remains a cornerstone of the family's enduring popularity. Alongside them, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, and the venerable Duke of Kent add to the formidable display of royal unity. This gathering represents the ultimate inner circle, a collection of individuals who have navigated the tumultuous waters of public scrutiny and emerged as the bedrock of the contemporary realm. The visual harmony of the group is striking, with each member playing a specific, predefined role in a ritual that has remained largely unchanged for generations. It is a powerful reminder of the enduring nature of the court, an entity that relies heavily on visual cues and ancient symbolism to reinforce its legitimacy and connection to the national story. The destination for this grand march is St. George's Chapel, a masterpiece of perpendicular Gothic architecture that has served as the setting for countless royal milestones, from joyous weddings to solemn burials. It is within these sacred walls that the true weight of the day's events begins to settle over the participants. The chapel is not merely a place of worship. It is the spiritual heart of the United Kingdom's most senior knighthood, an honor that traces its origins back to the High Middle Ages. As the sun streams through the magnificent stained glass windows, illuminating the intricate stone carvings and the historic banners hanging in the choir, the atmosphere becomes almost ethereal. The members of the public who have been granted access to the grounds watch in silent awe as the procession approaches the Galilee Porch, the traditional entrance where non-members gather to observe the arrival of the knights. Among those waiting at the porch are the Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Edinburgh, who provide a stark, elegant contrast to the heavily robed figures marching past. Their presence at the entrance serves as a poignant reminder that even within the highest echelons of the royal structure, there are distinct boundaries between those who hold the ancient honors of the state and those who support the institution from a more contemporary vantage point. Kate Middleton's style, you show one. The visual contrast between the two groups is one of the most compelling aspects of the entire day. The members of the order are resplendent in their traditional attire, wearing heavy velvet cloaks of deep blue adorned with the intricate insignias of their rank. On their heads, they bear elaborate caps topped with towering ostrich feathers and dark plumes that catch the gentle breeze as they walk. The entire ensemble is designed to evoke a sense of timeless majesty, drawing a direct line between the modern individuals wearing them and the legendary knights of the past. Walking in perfect alignment behind the military knights of Windsor and the colorful heralds, the group moves with a measured pace that reflects the seriousness of the occasion. Following close behind is a historic detachment of the Yeomen of the Guard, their distinctive uniforms adding another layer of historical texture to the vibrant procession. The sight of these ancient uniforms and the rhythmic sound of matching footsteps create an atmosphere that feels entirely detached from the modern world, transporting everyone present back to an era when chivalry and personal loyalty to the sovereign were the defining principles of governance and social order. Yet, despite the overwhelming sense of historical continuity, there is an underlying current of tension that the flawless execution of the ceremony cannot entirely mask. Observers familiar with the intricacies of court life cannot help but notice the subtle shifts in the lineup and the absolute exclusion of those who were once central to these very rituals. The absence of certain figures speaks far louder than the presence of those marching down the hill, serving as a silent testament to the strict enforcement of accountability and the modern crown's willingness to sever ties with its own past when necessary. This subtle friction adds a layer of modern intrigue to the medieval display, making it clear that behind the ancient traditions lies a highly responsive and deeply protective organization. As the procession finally reaches the doors of the chapel and the heavy oak portals begin to close, the public is left to ponder the delicate balance between mercy and justice that plays out behind the closed doors of the palace. The stage is set for a deeper exploration of the grand traditions being celebrated inside and the profound personal costs that have been paid to maintain the pristine reputation of the nation's highest honor. As the heavy oak doors of St. George's Chapel close behind the royal procession, the magnificent interior becomes the stage for the main content of this ancient ritual, where every gesture is steeped in historical significance. The annual service of the Most Noble Order of the Garter represents the absolute pinnacle of British honors, a tradition that has survived political upheavals, world conflicts, and centuries of social change. Inside the dimly lit chapel, the atmosphere shifts from a grand public spectacle to a deeply solemn private ceremony. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of aged wood and candle wax, as the newly invested companions prepare to take their official places among the elite membership. The king, acting in his historic role as the sovereign of the Garter, guides the proceedings with a quiet authority that reflects his deep respect for the institution's heritage. Beside him, Queen Camilla stands resplendent in a beautiful white chiffon evening dress designed by Fiona Clare, which she wears gracefully beneath the heavy, flowing folds of her traditional Garter robe. The brilliant white of her gown provides a striking visual contrast to the deep, dark velvet of the mantle, symbolizing the blend of modern sartorial elegance and medieval pageantry that characterizes the contemporary monarchy. The service itself begins with the formal installation of the 3 new companions, who were chosen personally by the sovereign earlier this spring. These individuals represent the very highest achievements in British public life, selected not by political nomination, but through the personal prerogative of the monarch to honor those who have contributed in an extraordinary way to national life. Lord Hennessy of Nympsfield, a highly respected journalist, academic and historian, takes his place as a knight companion, his inclusion highlighting the value placed on intellectual and historical preservation. Alongside him, Lord O'Donnell, the former cabinet secretary and head of the civil service, is formally invested, recognizing a lifetime of quiet, behind-the-scenes leadership at the highest levels of the state. The third new member, Lord Burnet of Malden, the former Lord Chief Justice, brings the prestige of the nation's legal framework to the ancient order. One by one, these distinguished figures are led to their designated stalls in the choir, where their personal banners will hang alongside those of the greatest figures in British history. The congregation stands in unified silence as the new knights take their oaths, before joining together in the familiar words of the Lord's Prayer, a moment of collective reflection that anchors the medieval ceremony in shared spiritual tradition. Outside the chapel, Watching the arrival and departure from the vantage point of the Galilee porch, the non-members of the order add their own layer of contemporary brilliance to the historic day. The Princess of Wales stands out as an absolute vision of effortless elegance, drawing the eyes of the gathered crowds and photographers alike. For this momentous occasion, she chose a beautiful lemon-colored coat dress, a bespoke creation made in London by the innovative designer Patrick McDowell. This choice carries a profound personal connection, as McDowell was the talented individual to whom the princess had presented the prestigious Queen Elizabeth Award for design just the previous year. The attention to detail in the garment is extraordinary, featuring a delicate fabric that was custom woven for Her Royal Highness by the historic silk weavers Stephen Walters and Sons, based in Suffolk. To complete her stunning ensemble, the princess sported a perfectly matching hat by Jane Taylor, which featured subtle trims crafted from the very same Suffolk fabric. Her choice of accessories further elevated the look, with shimmering diamond earrings by Robinson and Pelham catching the soft June sunlight. Standing beside her, Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, looks equally elegant in a sophisticated white and pink floral ensemble, complemented by a coordinating pink and white hat and a pair of classic diamond earrings. The two women share a light-hearted, warm moment, their visible giggles and smiles breaking through the rigid formality of the day and offering the public a glimpse of genuine warmth within the royal ranks. From her position at the porch, the Princess of Wales is seen smiling and waving warmly at several passing members of the order, her gaze turning proudly toward her husband, Prince William, who marches with a dignified posture in his full ceremonial regalia. As the king passes his daughter-in-law, she executes a flawless, deep curtsy, a traditional sign of respect that reinforces the strict hierarchy and discipline that keeps the institution functioning smoothly. The Prince of Wales looks focused and resolute, fully aware that he represents the future of this ancient knighthood, an honor he will one day inherit and lead as sovereign. The visual storytelling of this moment is powerful, capturing the transition of responsibility from one generation to the next against a backdrop of unchanging ritual. The immaculate presentation of the family members serves a vital purpose, projecting an image of stability, unity, and unwavering dedication to duty that resonates deeply with the public. However, beneath this surface of flawless choreography and smiling unity, a palpable tension remains, centered on a historic and absolute exclusion that has redefined the family's modern dynamic. For the first time in memory, the former Duke of York, now known strictly in legal and official terms as plain Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is entirely absent from every single element of the day's events. This complete exclusion marks the final chapter in a long, painful departure from public life that has stretched out over several years. Andrew had been a member of the Most Noble Order of the Garter since his appointment in 2006, an honor he cherished deeply as a symbol of his high status within the family. Even after he was stripped of his public duties and military affiliations due to the catastrophic fallout of the Epstein scandal, he stubbornly insisted on maintaining his connection to the order, fighting fiercely behind the scenes to cling to the remaining vestiges of his royal identity. At previous gatherings, he had aggressively insisted on attending the private lunch held inside the castle walls, creating an incredibly awkward compromise where he was permitted to join the family behind closed doors, but was strictly banned from participating in the public procession down the hill to the chapel. That fragile compromise, however, has been permanently shattered. In a decisive and unprecedented move, his appointment to the United Kingdom's most senior knighthood was formally annulled on October 30, 2025. The king moved resolutely to strip his brother of all remaining honors, a final, definitive action that resulted in Andrew being completely struck off the official roll of the order. In a deeply symbolic moment of erasure, his personal heraldic banner, which had hung proudly in the choir of St. George's Chapel for nearly 2 decades, was permanently removed, leaving an empty space where his royal status used to be recognized. Palace insiders and royal sources have made it clear that since Andrew is no longer a member of the Order of the Garter, it is entirely logical and necessary that he is excluded from every single element of the day, including the private family lunch. This total ban highlights a significant shift in the palace's strategy, proving that the modern crown is willing to enforce the highest standards of accountability, even when it means entirely isolating a sibling of the monarch to protect the integrity of the institution. The contrast between the triumphant music echoing from the chapel and the absolute isolation of the former prince creates a powerful, lingering tension that hangs over the entire celebration. The complete exclusion of the former prince from this historic gathering underscores a broader, structural evolution within the British monarchy, where ancient tradition is continuously refined to reflect the values of the contemporary era. To understand why this day matters so deeply, one must look beyond the immediate familial drama and examine the extraordinary lives of the individuals who have been brought into the order to replace the fallen remnants of the past. The three new companions invested inside the Garter throne room at Windsor Castle represent the true ideal of national service, each having dedicated decades of their lives to the preservation, administration, and intellectual enrichment of the United Kingdom. Their background details reveal a fascinating cross-section of British institutional excellence, far removed from the inherited privileges of royal birth. Professor the Lord Hennessy of Nympsfield, a towering figure in the field of modern history, academic research, and journalism, brings an analytical depth to the ancient knighthood. Having spent his entire professional life chronicling the secret workings of government, the hidden mechanics of Whitehall, and the lives of post-war prime ministers, his personal elevation to the nation's highest honor is a fitting tribute to a man who transformed contemporary political history into a rigorous academic discipline. His reaction to the appointment reflected his characteristic wit, noting that the sudden call from Buckingham Palace was a rare life-changing event that managed to reduce a lifelong talker to complete and utter silence. The investiture. Substack a show. One joining him in this elite group is the brilliant administrative strategist Lord O'Donnell, a man whose quiet, steady hand guided the British civil service through some of the most complex constitutional challenges of the 21st century. Serving as the cabinet secretary and the head of the Home Civil Service under successive prime ministers, including Sir Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, and David Cameron, O'Donnell earned a legendary reputation for his peerless negotiation skills and absolute dedication to the impartiality of the state machinery. His initials, GOD, became an affectionate nickname throughout the halls of power, a humorous nod to his immense influence and the reverence with which his colleagues viewed his administrative wisdom. The third exceptional companion invested today is the Right Honorable the Lord Burnet of Malden, whose distinguished career at the very pinnacle of the legal system has left an indelible mark on the administration of justice. As the youngest Lord Chief Justice to be appointed in nearly 60 years, Burnet navigated the judiciary through immense structural modernization, having previously built a formidable reputation as a barrister handling incredibly high-profile public inquiries, including the investigations into the King's Crossfire and the tragic deaths of Diana, Princess of Wales, and Dodi Fayed. After retiring from his supreme judicial duties in England and Wales, his expertise was sought internationally, leading to his current appointment as the Chief Justice of a commercial court system in Central Asia, proving that the caliber of individuals chosen for the Garter remains world-class. Town and Country magazine show, too, the presence of these distinguished public servants, alongside returning veteran figures such as the former Prime Minister Sir Tony Blair, the former Conservative Party Chairman Lord Patten, the legendary diplomat Baroness Amos, and the celebrated elder statesman Sir John Major, illustrates the true purpose of the Order of the Garter. Established by King Edward III nearly 700 years ago, in the year 1348, this magnificent institution was directly inspired by the romantic, chivalric tales of King Arthur and his legendary Round Table. The medieval monarch sought to create a select fraternity of knights who would bind themselves in absolute loyalty to the sovereign and to one another, creating an unbreakable bond of unity that would strengthen the realm during times of immense geopolitical strain. Today, the order remains strictly limited to the sovereign, the Queen, several senior members of the royal family, and a maximum of 24 companion knights chosen entirely at the personal discretion of the monarch. the order's historic emblem, a distinctive blue garter circlet embroidered with the timeless Anglo-Norman motto, Honi soit qui mal y pense, meaning shamed be the person who thinks evil of it, serves as a permanent reminder of the high moral and ethical standards expected of those who are permitted to wear it. PA Media as the solemn service draws to a triumphant conclusion, the magnificent strains of the military bands echo through the historic stone courtyards of Windsor Castle, signaling the final phase of this unforgettable day. The band of the Irish Guards and the resplendent Household Cavalry Band provide a stirring musical backdrop as the congregation spills out into the afternoon air. The spectacular sight of the lifeguards on parade, their polished breastplates and helmets gleaming in the sun, reminds everyone present of the deep connection between the British military and the Crown. Following the ancient protocol, the King and Queen, alongside the senior members of the family, prepared to depart from the chapel grounds by traditional horse-drawn carriages, making their triumphant return journey up the hill to the state apartments of the castle. The Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Edinburgh watch, with visible pride, as their husbands take their places in the departing carriages, the collective feeling of relief and success apparent on every royal face. The flawless execution of the day's events has once again demonstrated the palace's unparalleled ability to stage a spectacle that captures the imagination of the entire world. Ultimately, the true significance of this day lies in its quiet reaffirmation of the Crown's core strategy for survival in the modern era. While the public is understandably captivated by the colorful feathers, the heavy velvet robes, and the glittering jewelry worn by figures like the Princess of Wales, the true enduring strength of the monarchy is found in its willingness to adapt, to enforce internal discipline, and to honor those who have genuinely contributed to the national story. By permanently closing the door on the scandals of the past and completely removing the former prince from the rolls of the order, the king has sent a clear, undeniable message about the future of his reign. The empty space left by the removal of the disgraced banner has been filled